in court today before he testifies. Your first witness, you said, is going to be the lead officer?
It is actually going to be officer we're talking about.
I don't think it should be. I don't think I want to, make them cross-examine him in light of the fact that there was a discovery violation. So call your lead detective as your first witness after openings, and then we'll take a pause. I'm also doing it in consideration for the jurors who've now been nearly an hour sitting in the jury room waiting to be called up here. I'll apologize and take responsibility for the obstacle so that they don't blame any of the parties. Mr. Piedrahita, would you stand up, please? Sir, did you have an opportunity to discuss this issue with your attorneys?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Do you agree with the course of action that I'm going to take in giving them the opportunity to redepose the detective or the officer from Key Biscayne?
Toma la decisión, sí.
All right, you agree with them? You agree with what they're doing?
One moment.
Just
Judge.
You want me to put on the white noise?
It's fine. I could just whisper to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I talked to him, Judge.
Okay, you're in agreement with them?
Sí, estoy de acuerdo, señor.
Yes.
All right. I just want to make sure you're satisfied because we're going to start the trial in approximately 3 minutes, and I want to make sure you had an ample opportunity to talk to them about this issue.
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. You may be seated. And at this time, is there anything else for me to consider in this matter?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of things. You saw the notebook. Do you all agree with the standard jury instruction on taking notes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and furthermore, in this first witness that is going to be called, is there going to be any documents that are going to be introduced into evidence?
No documents, Your Honor. The only thing will be introduced is one time.
All right, 911 call.
Now.
Does the defense have any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Stand up when you address me, please.
Yes, Your Honor. I apologize. No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, and so has the item been properly marked for our?
Already sitting on the counter.
Thank you. All right, Victor, if the jurors are ready to proceed, tell them that we're ready to get going. Yes, sir.
We've been waiting for opening statements to start in this case, but a lot has happened in the meantime while we have been waiting for the jury to even come into the courtroom. Let's bring in to talk about all of this our guest in studio for this hour. Trial attorney Kelly Hyman is here out of Florida. So you're watching this and saying, oh, I know these courtrooms and courthouses. Let's talk about this discovery issue. We have a defendant who's accused of murder. He says it was self-defense is what we gather from some of the letters he wrote to the judge on his own behalf. And now we're hearing that his son was present and may have been the one to hand him the gun, and that a detective interviewed his son, but that the defense didn't see that interview until this morning in chambers while we were here trying to figure out what was going on court TV. Your thoughts on whether or not they should go forward with opening statements right now?
You're innocent until proven guilty, but your defense has to have an opportunity to make sure that you have sufficient information, that they have everything, that they know that everything's going on. So there could be a potential argument because they weren't aware of this and learning this information now, that it could be prejudicial to them, that it could harm them, because the defense has to plead their defense to the case. And if they don't have all the information, then how can they adequately represent their client? How can they advocate for their client? How can they know what defense to potentially put on if they're not given all the proper evidence? So that could potentially be key.
Should they be pushing for a continuance right now, or do you think they also have to balance it with, we don't want this jury to have to wait a couple of days or even a full day and come back and listen to openings?
That's a tough call to make. So they have to weigh both those things as well to say, how prejudicial is this? Did my client get an opportunity to get this information, to learn about this information, and have an opportunity to ask questions about this information? Or are we learning it right now in real time? Is that going to affect our case at all? And balancing that out, that potentially could be a factor in this case.
Let's go inside the courtroom and see what happens next. All right, actually, it sounds like the jury they're coming into the courtroom, so we're going to stand by on going into that video. But it seems like the judge did say that he is going forward with openings today. He's going to allow that 911 call to be brought in during the opening statements. There's also a video in this case. We understand that either the defendant, and now we understand there may have been his son with him, so perhaps one or the other could have been filming this, but someone was live streaming this incident. We don't know if it caught the deadly part of this altercation, but there is video. It doesn't sound like we are going to be seeing that video in the opening statement, but the only visual aid is going to be that 911 call. Let's listen in.
There was a killing on the Rickenbacker, a shooting, and a cyclist just killed. At this point, you probably still have a lot of questions in your mind. What happened in that killing? Was this a random act of violence? Was this a terrible case of road rage that gone terribly wrong?
Hold on a second, Mr. Soper. This is our official court interpreter, so she has permission to go wherever she feels most comfortable to do her job. So I want to say, don't take note of that if it's a distraction for you, but she's doing a job that she's been assigned by the courts. My apologies, Mr. Soper. You may begin again if you want to.
So I would say, as you might be wondering, was this road rage? Was this a random act of violence? And all the facts that come out in the evidence, that this was neither of those things. What you're going to learn is that this was a calculated, rage-filled, unjustified killing of an unarmed man, and that the man responsible, the killer, is the man sitting right there. Now, in order to understand what happened that day, let me take you back to that day 5 years ago today, or 5 years ago on August 14th, 2019. It was the early morning hours that day. The sun had barely risen, and Alexis Palencia was on a bike ride with a group of other cyclists. They were biking from South Miami, making their way down to Key State. You see, in free time, Alexis Palencia loved to bike. He liked biking long bike routes with other groups of cycling enthusiasts. And you're going to get to meet some of those cycling enthusiasts as part of this case. You're going to get to meet two specifically. You're going to get to meet Cesar Sosa and Gustavo Mondano, who are not only cycling enthusiasts, but they're key, crucial witnesses to the murder in this case. Not only that, actually, you're also going to hear about a third cycling enthusiast that's part of this group, his own son, Kadel Piedrahita. And he is what brings the defendant into this. You see, because the defendant's son was involved in the cycling group, the defendant liked to tag along sometimes. He would ride along on his motorcycle and film the bike rides. This was something he did pretty often. On this particular day, as the cycling group was making their way from South Miami to Key Biscayne, they passed the toll just before the Rickenbacker Causeway. And as the defendant saw them passing, he got on his motorcycle, revved up his engine, and started following the group. And started filming them. This day was a little bit different than the prior ones, though, because on this occasion, as the defendant approached them, Alexis Palencia noticed the defendant. So he rode up closer to the defendant on his bicycle while the defendant was on his motorcycle, and the two started exchanging some words. That exchange of words ended in the defendant, while still riding his motorcycle, reaching out his right leg and kicking Alexis Palencia while he was still riding his bike. Now, that caused a couple of people to pull over their bikes and move to the side of the road. Those people being the defendant, Alexis Palencia, the deceased, Cesar Sosa, and the defendant's son. Now, almost immediately after they get off the bikes, the defendant and Alexis Palencia start getting into, sort of like a shoving, pushing match with each other. Cesar Sosa's in the middle, trying to break them up, and the defendant's son is standing nearby, not sure really what to do. You're going to hear that the defendant shouted, not even shouted, he commanded, he told his son, "Go get my gun out of my bag." And his scared son did just that. He complied with his angry, yelling father, went, grabbed the gun, and gave it to the defendant. Now you're going to hear, in the heat of the moment, Alexis Palencia, after seeing the gun, and somewhat incredulously, I might add, shouted, "Shoot, shoot." Members of the jury, unfortunately, that's exactly what the defendant did. He shot Alexis Palencia right in the abdomen. He shot Alexis Palencia while Alexis's hand was up He was unarmed and he was wearing nothing but a skin-tight biking suit. Not only that, he didn't stop there. After he shot and killed Alexis Palencia, you're going to hear that he got the gun, turned it, pointed it at Cesar Sosa, and started chasing him while shouting profanities. Thankfully, members of the jury, this is not a case.
Go ahead. Hit me. Bam.
Two celebrities reveal their turbulent relationship to the world.
He was just Hollywood's mega hunk.
The man who beat me up for 5 years.
The general public sees this, and all they see is wife beater.
Two completely different versions of what was happening. That means one thing: somebody's lying.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. New season premieres Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder, and he will be tried as an adult.
Is the shooter talking? Is he saying why?
The shooter was interviewed, and he was speaking with our investigators earlier, along with the GBI.
How is that? He said why? Surveillance. How's that helping the sheriff?
It is helping our investigation.
We are following this heartbreaking story out of Georgia. The developments there where a 14-year-old student is accused of opening fire inside of his Georgia high school and is expected to be in court tomorrow. Authorities say that the suspect was interviewed last year when he was only 13 years old after the FBI received an anonymous tip about online school shooting threats. The FBI says at the time there was no probable cause for an arrest or additional action. Now, 2 students and 2 teachers were killed in this rampage, and 9 others were wounded at the Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia. This all unfolded on Wednesday morning. The victims who died have been identified as students and teachers, and we will, of course, continue to update you on this story, bring you that hearing tomorrow live. For now, let's go back into the Florida courtroom where our newest live murder trial is going on. The defendant, Kadel Piedrahita, faces a top count of second-degree murder for an alleged deadly altercation with another man that prosecutors say he was the cause of and that this was murder. He is going to be claiming self-defense. This all happened on a Florida roadway. Let's go back into the courtroom now and hear the remaining parts of the state's opening statement.
Testimony of officers who investigated this case. Because this case was captured on several different cameras. It was captured on cell phone camera from witnesses. It was captured on GoPro cameras from bicyclist Cesar Sosa in particular. And part of it was even captured on the defendant's own video as he was following them filming the incident. Now, at this point, you're probably asking yourselves, okay, we know what happened now. We know this wasn't road rage. We know this wasn't a random act of violence. But you're probably still wondering, why did this happen? Well, luckily, members of the jury, we know exactly why this happened. And in fact, I'm not going to be the one to tell you why this happened. You know why? Because you're going to hear directly from the defendant why this happened. Now, you might seem a little confused when I say that, but you see, just a day prior to this incident, the defendant was mad. In fact, mad is an understatement. The defendant was seething with rage against one person and one person only, Alexis Palencia. So, what did he do the day before to let out his rage? Well, we live in the modern era. So, he decided to go on Facebook Live, and he aired him out. He ranted, he raved. He said some of the most terrible, disgusting things that you will ever hear about Alexis Palencia. But most importantly, he said the following, and excuse my Spanish. Para cuando nada más me toques, partirte en dos, te metiste con el tipo equivocado. When the time comes, I will break you in two. You messed with the wrong guy. Te voy a partir en dos. Tócame nada más, maricón. Tócame nada más para desquitarme la ira. Vas a conocer la ira de Dios. I will break you so that I can get even with my anger. You will know the wrath of God. Members of the jury, the evidence in this case will show that not only did the defendant murder Alexis Valencia, but he was itching to do so since the day before. Now, at the close of all the evidence in this case, my trial partner, Mr. Singh, will get up. He will ask you to deliver the only verdict in this case that is voted consistent with the evidence and that justice demands, and that is finding the defendant guilty of the murder of Alexis Valencia and guilty of the aggravated assault with a firearm against Cesar Sosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sober. Be seated. Does the defense wish to make an opening?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's August 14th, 2019. It's just a few days before school starts. 4 a.m. and it's still dark. Mr. Kadel Piedrahita is laying on his bed as he feels someone shaking him and waking him up. You see, he had problems sleeping that night. He had bronchitis and the cough kept him up. That person shaking him was his son, Kadelito. Papa, vamos. Dad, let's go. And Kadel responds, not today, son. Not feeling well. I barely slept. But you see, the day before, we got gotten a new pair of tires on his bike. And he was eager to go out and ride his bicycle and see if he could test out the difference between the tires. And so, even though Kadel was hesitant to go out on that day, when his son reminded him that there was just a few days left before school started, he agreed to go. And on that morning, they both went out to what's called Don't Fun Ride. The Don't Fun Ride is where a group of cyclists get together and go from the Don't Fun bakery all the way through the Rickenbacker Hospital. Mr. Piedrahita was following his son on his motorcycle while his son was riding his bicycle. And they integrate their ways into the ride. So we're here, Rickenbacker Hospital, and Mr. Piedrahita is riding his motorcycle. He has one hand on the bike and one hand on the selfie stick, recording on Facebook Live. And as he's sitting there recording, Alexis Valencia comes right up and says, "Yo soy Alexis Valencia y me cago en la resingada de tu madre." After that, members of the jury, he feels a pounding on his back. Someone had just put his hands on Mr. Piedrahita. That someone was Alexis Valencia. That caused Mr. Piedrahita to lose his balance on the motorcycle. Both men stop their bikes, get off, and a fight ensues. But that fight isn't just between Alexis Valencia and Kadel Piedrahita. Two other cyclists actually jumped into the fight as well. At one point, it's actually 3 against 1. Mr. Piedrahita's hit in the head with something hard. He's getting punched in the face with fist multiple times. And as that's happening, he feels he's outnumbered. His son, Mr. Kadelito, tries to come in at one point and separate the fight, and that's not successful. He gets pushed out of the way. So in an attempt to stop it, he tells his son, "Sácala, sácala, take it out," asking his son to retrieve his firearm. But before his son could even open up the book bag, Mr. Piedrahita takes it from him, opens it up, and removes the firearm. See, as the evidence will show, on that day, Mr. Piedrahita had a firearm. That day, like every day. But when he takes out his gun, he does not immediately point the gun at the individuals that were just attacking him. He keeps the gun by his side. So as to say, back off, I'm armed. He takes out his gun to show force, not to use force. And immediately after that, members of the jury, he sees another cyclist, Sept Sosa, hands a gun to Alexis Valencia. And immediately after that, Alexis Valencia extends his arm out to Mr. Piedrahita where he can see the end of the barrel.
And now we are hearing more about the defense in this case. This defendant saying he was punched. It was 3 against 1, and that's why he asked his son to get the gun. We do have to get to a break, but we'll be back in for the rest of that opening statement from the defense after this. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are following a case out of Florida, the Cyclist road rage murder trial, and the defendant is Kadel Piedrahita. He is charged with the murder of a victim who he was having an altercation with, and we are just now hearing the defense's side of things. Kadel had been on a motorcycle following his son in the Cyclist group. Alex Palencia was the victim. He was on his bicycle when these men pulled over to the side of the road, and this altercation ensued. Let's bring in our guest who's in studio, trial attorney Kelly Hyman, just to break down what we've heard so far, Kelly, because we're getting just an illuminated look at what this defense is now. And the defense attorney says he pulled out his gun to show force, not use force. The victim was unarmed, but the defense is saying, hey, he reached for the gun. Is this a viable stand your ground or self-defense case?
Ultimately, that's going to be up to the jury based on the facts and evidence, but the defense is making their case. So basically their position is the fact that defendant was outnumbered, that these people were beating up on him, and that he potentially would fear for his life. And so because of that, he used deadly force. He stood his ground and used deadly force to protect himself and potentially protect his son as well. So we'll have to see how the jury takes us, if they believe that matter or not.
How problematic is that video that he recorded of himself, meaning the defendant, where he's very upset with this victim? We haven't heard much about it, but there's this insurance issue where the victim sold him, sounds like perhaps faulty insurance, and he was upset with him, and he recorded himself on social media just going after the victim.
Timing is key. So when we look at this as perspective, the fact that this post happened before, there could be an argument made that this was pre-planned. It was premeditated. The fact that this person the defendant was so upset that he could not control himself, right? But the defendants paint a different story. Defendants paint a story where he was outnumbered, that he was fighting the other people, and he did it only to protect himself, that he had the gun, he had it on his side, and he didn't plan to do it. In other words, hold his ground.
Yeah, let's go back in and listen to the rest of the defense attorney making this argument, this opening statement in front of the jury.
The only thing that he can do to defend himself he fires his words. One time, at Alexis Valencia. But Cesar Sosa is still on scene. He just handed a gun to the man who was attacking him. So yes, he points his gun at Cesar Sosa, but he doesn't shoot it. The moment that Cesar Sosa sees him with a gun, he says, yo no, not me, not me. And when Mr. Piedrahita sees that he is leaving, that he's walking away, that he's no longer a threat, he puts his gun down. He tells his son to get his phone, to call 911, and that's exactly what he does. Calls 911. He says, I just shot somebody. I'm on the Rickenbacker Causeway. They attacked me, and they pointed a gun at me. Now, in order to understand what happened in those early morning hours of August 14, 2019, where Mr. Piedrahita found himself in a position to not only have to take out his guns, but discharge it, we need to go back to the beginning. Back to where it all started. You see, cycling has been a part of Mr. Piedrahita's almost his entire life. Since he was 11 years old, just a kid in Cuba. what started off as just a mode of transportation for him to pick up groceries, give rides, or just get to places, became racing among his friends, and then eventually even made his way to a more professional level in cycling too. But as life goes, time passed, he got married, he had children, and cycling took a backseat in his life. Mr. Piedrahita's life then brought him here to the United States. And when he got here to this country, cycling made its way back into his life. See, after trying out several sports, Mr. Piedrahita's son, Kadelito, took a liking to his passion, cycling. And they began that journey together. Kadelito began cycling and became better and better. You see, he started running some of the fastest and hardest races for a cyclist. But as Kadelito grew, so did Mr. Piedrahita. You see, at every one of his son's races, he was there recording Facebook Live so that all the cyclists and his son could later see the race from an outside angle. He was gaining followers and viewers on his page that wanted to see these cycling races. Mr. Piedrahita even started his own business surrounding the cycling community. He started selling supplements and energy drinks to the cyclists. And that business was going good for him too. But even though the business and the followers were great, Mr. Piedrahita only had one goal when he went to all of the races. And that was to continue to support his son. In the cycling community, Mr. Piedrahita met a welcoming and inviting community. So while he was there, he met multiple people that would cycle with his son and people that would be his customers and would buy the energy and supplement drinks that he would sell. Out of the people that he met, one of those people was a gentleman by the name of Sept. You'll hear from Sept from Sept was very well known in the cycling community. He was at almost all of the major races, and he was known for what's called side bet racing. He would essentially collect money from all of the individuals that were racing and place bets on who they thought would win, and then divide the money accordingly based on who actually won the race. We also had the opportunity to meet a gentleman in the cycling community by the name of Alexis Valencia. That's the victim. He met him through a mutual friend who was a customer of Mr. Piedrahita, and also had the opportunity to have an insurance forgiven from the victim because he was an insurance broker for Mr. Piedrahita's home. Mr. Piedrahita was aware of issues that Alexis Valencia had had with other cyclists. He was also aware of issues that he had had even with Mr. Piedrahita's own son, Kadelito. But the issues had never really been enough. That is up until just a few days before this incident occurred. You see, people in this community can get very competitive, just like anything. And when people are competitive, they can cut corners. And that's exactly what happened just a few days before this incident. Mr. Piedrahita had gone out to one of the races and was recording. Alexis Valencia made his way to the cycling. And when Mr. Piedrahita saw Alexis Valencia, he calls him out for cutting a corner and not cycling properly. He essentially calls him a cheater. And in this cycling community, members of the jury, that is one of the biggest insults that you can get. That you are not doing what's proper as you are cycling. And you see, Alexis Valencia, he took that to heart. He took offense to that. And on that Facebook Live video that Mr. Piedrahita posted, Alexis Valencia commented on it. And he wrote one line. He wrote, "Ten cuidado con lo que hablas, que la frescura de la boca lo pagan los dientes. Be careful what you say, that your teeth pay the price for a smart mouth." When Mr. Piedrahita sees that comment on his Facebook page, before he has any time to comment back, reach out, to Alexis Valencia to see why he wrote that. Was he being serious? Was it just a joke? What was happening? He got a call from Alexis Valencia. And in that call that he received, Alexis Valencia is mad. Alexis Valencia told Mr. Piedrahita almost every single Spanish, Cuban curse word in the dictionary. Alexis Valencia screamed, Alexis Valencia insulted, and Alexis Valencia cursed. But as if those insults were not enough, Alexis Valencia threatened Mr. Piedrahita. He also told him, "You don't know me. If I were you, I would be careful when you're out with your son alone. I'm coming for you." And as quickly as that call started, it ended. Mr. Piedrahita was literally left with words in his mouth that he could not say. He started to try to call Alexis Valencia back. And when he did that, there was no answer. He tried to reach out to him on Facebook Messenger, but he was blocked. And so Mr. Piedrahita went on his Facebook Live and made a direct video call to Alexis Valencia. You're gonna get an opportunity to see that Facebook Live video where he also responds in kind to Alexis Valencia, using all the same words and all the same insults that Alexis Valencia used on him. I want you to pay close attention to that Facebook Live video because you will be able to see that that video is being made in response to a threat. The Facebook Live video says, "You have me blocked. Me tienes bloqueado."
The defense is going a lot longer than the state as far as opening statement, laying out not only what happened the day of this fatal shooting, but also everything that led up to it, which seems to be very important to their self-defense claim. Let's get in a break. We'll get you back in for more in the case of the cyclist road rage murder trial.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, a man charged with attempted murder after attacking a judge faces a jury. We'll bring you all of today's key moments as our experts weigh in.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
All season long, the greatest players in the world compete here.
I won't break. Welcome to the NWSL.
The NWSL is on ION. Find where to watch on IONNWSL.com.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are following a case in Florida this afternoon, our newest live trial, the cyclist road rage murder trial, where defendant Kadel Piedrahita is charged with second-degree murder and aggravated assault with a firearm after he is accused of gunning down a cyclist back in August of 2019. But Piedrahita claims that he fired in self-defense. He was with his son at the time. This was a confrontation that his defense says broke out between him and the victim, 48-year-old Alexis Valencia. The defense says it was 3 against 1 when he told his son to get his gun out of his backpack. Let's get you back into court now for more of the defense's opening statement.
Let me post anything to you. You're putting things on my Facebook when I don't even mention you. He says, essentially, come at me, touch me and you'll see. Cuando me veas, venme para arriba para desquitarme todo. When you see me, come at me and touch me so I can get everything I have going with you. Cuando me veas, párteme para arriba para despingarte todo. Para cuando me toques partirte en dos. I'm doing this live, so when you touch me, I can break you in two. When you see me, when you touch me, when you see me. Shortly after he posted it, he began to feel bad about posting it. You know, Mr. Piedrahita knows that's not the way to behave. And he's well aware that at one point, him and Alexis Valencia are going to have to talk about the things that they both told each other. Man to man, face to face. What Mr. Piedrahita did not know was what Alexis Valencia had in mind for the next time that he saw Mr. Piedrahita. So here we are now, August 14th, 2019. and the cyclists are on the hotline. Mr. Piedrahita is recording live, one hand on the motorcycle, one hand on the selfie stick. Alexis sees him. Make note when you watch this video where Alexis Valencia is when it first starts. He is all the way to the right lane, and when he sees Mr. Piedrahita coming, he picks up his speed and makes all the way to the left to get right next to Mr. Piedrahita. And you will see when he tells Mr. Piedrahita, yo soy Alexis Valencia y me cago en la vecindad de tu madre. That video when Alexis Valencia puts both of his hands on Mr. Piedrahita. You will see on that video where Mr. Piedrahita loses his balance on the bike and has to use both of his feet to regain his balance. You will also see on that video that because his bike stalled as he was losing speed, the vehicle that was coming behind Mr. Piedrahita makes contact with the back of Mr. Piedrahita's motorcycle. And then when Mr. Piedrahita got off his motorcycle, at that point, Alexis Valencia was getting off his bike too. He was coming at him. But Mr. Piedrahita, although he had his book bag on where the firearm was located, he takes off that book bag. He doesn't approach Alexis Valencia with the book bag and gun in hand because it's not his intention to shoot anybody. It is not his intention to kill anybody. He knows there's going to be a confrontation between him and Alexis Valencia. After all, he had just put his hands up. But he was not intending to shoot, let alone kill anyone. So as Mr. Piedrahita is walking up to Alexis Valencia, ready for that confrontation, out of nowhere, members of the jury, he feels two strikes very quick on the side of his head. And when he looks over, surprised as who was that? None other than Cesar Sosa. Someone he didn't even have an issue with has just struck him in the head with something hard. And right after that, he starts to be held by a third person, Gustavo Londono, grabbing him by his shirt to make sure he doesn't move. That's when there's 3 against 1. And when his son tries to come in the way, they move him out. That's when Kadel Piedrahita starts yelling at his son, "Sácala, sácala." And if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear the words of the victim. He tells Mr. Piedrahita, he takes off the gun, he puts it by his side, and he hears when Cesar Sosa tells Alexis Valencia, "Cógela, cógela, take it, take it." And he sees an exchange of hands between the two, and immediately after points the gun directly at Mr. Piedrahita. He did the only thing he could do at that point. He hears at that very moment, "Dispara, dispara, shoot." It was only reasonable to think someone in those same circumstances. Now, he was about to get shot.
Overruled.
Now, members of the jury, what happens next is that Mr. Piedrahita focuses attention on Cesar Sosa. And when he realizes Cesar Sosa is leaving and no longer a threat, no longer something that he has to be in fear of, he sees Gustavo Londono for a brief moment next to Alexis Valencia. Members of the jury, unfortunately, that gun that Alexis Valencia pointed at Mr. Piedrahita is not going to be introduced to evidence here. You see, that gun, through the evidence, you are going to see, members of the jury, that that gun did. You're going to be able to know that Alexis Valencia did point a firearm at Kadel Piedrahita. But you'll have to ask yourself then, what happens to the gun? And it'll become clear to you that the evidence had, that gun had to have been taken out of there. Because that gun did not just grow little gun legs and get out. The evidence will show you, members of the jury, that the only person that had the opportunity to remove that gun from there was Gustavo Londono. As he sat there with the victim for that moment, he saw himself in a position where his friend had just left. His friend had just handed a gun to Alexis Valencia. He had a person who had been shot near him. He's a convicted felon and he cannot be near guns. And he needed to get out of there because he knew the cops were coming. It will become clear to you that that gun existed, but it was removed from the scene before police officers ever arrived. These two witnesses that you're going to hear from today, Gustavo Londoño and Cesar Sosa, the evidence will show you that they're not neutral witnesses.
All right, things are heating up inside of that courtroom. Intense opening statement from the defense, still going on much longer than the state's opening. And a key thing they disagree on was the victim armed. The defense says yes, the state said no, he was unarmed when the shooting took place. Stay with us.